Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast, Conversations with Silicon Valley's Creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates. Hello, welcome to the Content Magazine podcast. I'm Daniel Garcia, the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates, and we're here in the studio today with Miguel Kultura, who is a Mexican-American musician, rapper, and producer. And thank you for being here today. We haven't actually seen each other in a little bit. I mean, COVID and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you first and foremost for allowing me to be here too and reconnect with you again. It was you know me for quite some time.
Actually, well, I met you originally probably when you were with BAM.
When we had BAM and Neba, creating that was beautiful,
Well, I want to ask you about that.
For sure.
But then I think, then we did a story on you back. It was issue 11.1, and we kind of hung out a little bit doing the photo shoot. That was back in the day.
I think that was your house.
Yeah, it was at my house. Yeah.
That was a good setup too.
Thanks for coming out for that. So cool. Yeah, let's So I want to talk to you about, especially your new release that you just put out in September. Estilo Chicano.
Estilo Chicano, yeah.
I kind of feel as I look at your music career that in some ways, even the songs that you've released have been a little bit of your own journey and identity.
Right.
So let's start actually with this current release.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of work backwards to get to BAM and get to high school
sense.
And all that kind of stuff. So tell me about, in the making of this, I mean, it's super positive. I think most of your music is pretty positive and encouraging to the community. And the video is awesome.
Okay,
We've got the lowriders and a bunch of people out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, all your videos have great production and stuff. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Are those normally your vision of what you want to do for them?
Most of the time is my vision, and then I've been working with Uki, which is Baylingual on Instagram, which is helping me. He's helping me bring life to my vision and adds to the vision too. But I always try to create imagery, not only just to show the message of the music, but imagery that can make history or show history. With quality. But So Estilo Chicano is an ode to lowriding. And the culture, and especially now how everything's brewing up in San Jose, again, with this community, with our community, with the Chicano community. So lowriding's been part of me since I was a youngster, so I wanted to, give it some light and highlight the Chicano community, which I've always highlighted, but this was a little bit... It was almost more, not like an anthem, but it was very anthem-y, in Spanish, and you don't really get a lot of Spanish rappers from San Jose, so I wanted to do that. I can do English, but for some reason I stayed to Spanish, that's Estilo Chicano, a little bit about that. I wanted to highlight women in lowriding. You don't see a lot of women in lowriding, especially older generations. It was just very male, masculine, prominent, but there was always women on the side, so they need their piece too. They need their highlight. So that was one of the main subjects of this song too, to highlight these women that are bosses, and
So for this particular song, did you think in terms of were you thinking in terms of just a lowrider, and then you kind of came up with the Estilo Chicano, or how did you kind of come to the making of this anthem?
I think I started. I heard the beat, and I started with the hook. I was just like brinca, brinca, which means bounce, bounce.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So then after that, I just started putting lyrics together, and usually I pull from the community, but I also pull, like you said, from myself, my own identity. So it's a little bit of both. But I'm integrated in this community, so it all mixes together good, And I one of my bars towards the end of the first verse, I said, "El estilo chicano que ostentan," which means the estilo chicano that we floss, just the way we are, we dress. Everybody has their own style, but essentially it's just we create this culture, and it's contagious sometimes, And I just put the name to it, Estilo Chicano.
I like it.
And I like the ring to it, you know. It made sense, you know, Chicano style.
Yeah. I totally love that too. There's in that brinca. You know what I mean? Just it's like such a good hook. Like it's a great hook and everything.
Thank you.
And it's very positive, right? I mean, like talk about that. Like talk about your view then of Chicano style, right? How do you define it? How would you define it?
Yeah, Chicano style. Well, there's the fashion aspect of it that just became part of us when before it was just looked like you know, down upon us, you know, just like Cortezes, you know, Dickies, or just some jeans that, you know, it could be baggy, you know, some Ben Davis shirts, you know, you know, a lot of people are using it now more aesthetically, but which is beautiful, but it's just always been a part of us. And then I have my own kind of twist to it, you know. I incorporate indigenous kind of like style with the Chicano style. But that's more fashionly, you know. But just what Chicano is just, you know, beauty and just being yourself. Just there's a certain style that we talk and, you know, we communicate with each other. For sure.
What I love about it too, I mean, you know, growing up, you know, because I'm half Mexican, half white, but and just my Mexican side of it is the fun banter, you know, that there is. That you're like the constant joking and stuff like that, and the nicknames. And I know that you were Moscow, right? High school.
For sure. Damn, you remember that? for sure.
which is kind of cool. How did you get that nickname? I mean, I would call you like Flaco or something like that.
Flaco, right? Yeah. So my neighborhood name is Mosca, you know, and then I translated it to Fly. Because I just used to hate that name when I was a youngster.
Oh, really? You didn't like it, Mosca?
Yeah, well, because it was just given to me, and as a 9-year-old, you're just like, stop calling me that.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like the bigger kids, you know.
Was it because you were kind of pesty, coming around?
I was just everywhere, and like I was small, skinny, and dark, you know. So you know, so it's like, you know, they give you a name that they make fun of you, but then you kind of just hone it in after. You're like, okay, all right, it's a part of me now. Like I can't outrun it, so let me just hone into it. But yeah, so I was given it to me when I was like 8 or 9 as a kid, you know, in the barrio, and just like all the kids would be out playing, you know. You don't see that no more, you know, right? So it's like play football, basketball, hockey, whatever on the street, doing dumb things as a kid, water balloon fight, whatever, you know.
And everybody's got a nickname.
Everybody got a nickname.
It's fun.
And I was just, you know, I was just fast and, you know, just going around and just, you know, being everywhere, you know. You know, always with a smile and just kind of like just trying to do things, trying to be active, you know.
That's cool. And then I saw like your earlier, like you had one name for yourself, or kind of like iteration was Funkadelic
Fly. Yeah, that's another
awesome.
alter ego of mine, Funkadelic Fly. So when I started like making music, I switched it to Young Fly. That's when I started really like getting into rapping, like maybe 13, 14, and then I stopped rapping. I didn't really want to rap, and I just went heavily into production, and learning that, honing in that craft for quite some time. And then I switched it to Funkadelic Fly because I was just so obsessed with funk. I'm still obsessed with funk, you know, so I learned it, studied it, and I became this kind of like psychedelic version of myself.
That's cool. Are there any music that you made from that era out there in the universe? Or
there's a couple, but not a lot. I think it was just a study era. You know, I was just studying a lot, and like I was just honing into this personality, just funky. You know, like Bootsy Collins, and you know, just honing into that funk style. Totally. Zapp and Roger, which is part of like a lot of the culture too, the funk culture, the Chicano culture is funk. You know, we love the funk. But I really honed in and studied Motown a lot. You know, I was within that era. It's just a bunch of studying. You know, learning from the greats. You know, to try to create my own style. You know, fuse some styles together.
Was that mainly like high school time and stuff? High school, a little bit after.
Yeah, high school, a little bit into college. Yeah, for sure.
And then when did so then? And then so like Miguel Kultura kind of came out, but that was kind of a different iteration, and that was kind of like through I guess you had some illness and some other kind of personal things that were going on that kind of developed that, or what's the story behind Miguel Kultura?
Yeah, so Miguel Kultura happened during like primetime BAMN and IBA, and I was going through, some weird illness, man. I couldn't figure it out. Doctors couldn't figure it out. I was just getting really skinny. I was losing hella weight, and I was like 90 pounds at some point, dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was just like just really sucked up.
Huesos.
Huesos. Now I was flaco, like, so it was just crazy to experience something like that. And you go through a phase where you think like you're just gonna die, you're just like, what's going on? I'm thinking other things, thinking I have this, I have that,
right.
And like just for like, it really hit after, like I was going through it, but then after BAMN, it kind of hit me even more. And it's like I spent a whole year off just like trying to recover, trying to find answers, solutions, and doing research. And I really honed into the health thing, I found Dr. Sabi. I'm not sure if you heard of him. So I think he's, I forget. I don't know if he's Panamanian or of origin from there, but just a natural herbalist.
Okay.
And was like curing different diseases, and he even proved it in court. He ended up years later dying, and there's whole conspiracies around that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Like
so
the medical industry.
So he was curing like AIDS. He was curing like different diabetes and stuff, like with just pure elements and herbs and things of that nature. And proved it in court, and had a whole like maybe 30 people present in court. Like, he cured this, cured that, and he proved it. He made the lines. I think back in the 80s, 90s.
Okay.
But so I found him doing research, and started like, following his path, and just I hate the word veganism, but it's just more conscious eater. And, I stopped eating meat, and trying to rule out things, what works with my body, what doesn't. And then maybe like 2 years later, I didn't really think about it. It just happened. I just started feeling good, energy up. I wasn't as skinny as much, but then after that, I started getting even more weight. I'm still skinny, but I'm a little fuller now, So I've always been this. It's just my genes. I'm a natural skinny guy, but I was just really more skinny,
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw you. Really,
So I got some meat now, so and I'm blessed for that. It was another challenge that like God put me through. To try to find myself, and I did a lot of meditation, and Miguel Kultura came out of that, and like I just had a vision in meditation state, and I just felt I saw like a bunch of like ancestors around me. Like I felt like I was laying on a table, and like I was just in a meditative state, and I just seen ancestors like around me, like I was like, just trying to find answers, and it's like, I wanna rap, I wanna do this, I wanna do that, and it's like, what should I call myself? Just I guess having conversations with them or myself, whatever it was, and they're just like, my middle name is Miguel, just call yourself Miguel Kultura. I was like, okay, like it has a nice ring to it, but it was just like a beautiful experience because it looked like I was on the table and they were around me, and it's like they were also healing me at the same time, and also like helping me find my identity within my culture. I'm Mexican American, but I started really delving more into who I am, where I really come from, indigenously, So so that was a short, long story of that.
No, that's super cool. Yeah, so that's awesome. And then like when I know in the article we did before, you said like it's kind of like in the stars. Like you really had a sense that like this is like to rap and do music is kind of like your gift or your destiny or your expression, right?
Yes. We all have gifts, right? So I just, owning into that and figuring out what other gifts we can hone into. But that was just mainly one. And at the time, nobody was doing Spanish stuff, and like especially up here in Northern California, you would see it in Los Angeles, but it was more like old school Chicano, like Cholo, nothing positive, and I wanted to break free from that and kind of like merge, two different cultures like Chicano, Indigenous, and really tell stories. I'm a storyteller at heart, so whether it's film or music, yeah, I just wanted to do that, you know, and
Yeah.
still doing that, you know.
Yeah,
still doing
totally.
That,
Yeah,
know?
you do it great.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, and then in that picture, I think your first release was Trabajando, right?
Trabajando.
Which was definitely kind of real Spanglish.
That was more Spanglish.
Yeah, right. Which was kind of fun. I mean, like that song is like I could listen to and get it all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the other ones, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get like 90%, 80% of it. You know, my Spanish.
It's hard. Yeah.
But yeah, so then, but I think kind of like in your journey, right? So that was kind of like you, kind of. Well, the music you did before, was it all in English and stuff?
It was
primarily?
definitely morely in English. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
all the production was just English. You
Yeah.
know, and I was just trying to figure out how can I do like Spanish and hip hop, because like I could do like I could have done like reggaeton. I could still do reggaeton.
Yeah.
Or like trap, you know, and I still want to fuse some of these elements,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to find my lane, you know. I'm just doing my lane, you know.
Yeah,
Stick to my lane, you
Yeah.
know. Emerge a little bit of everything, you know, sonically,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it was mainly English, Spanish, right? I still want to do more of that in my future projects. I'm doing more of that, but
Yeah.
I want to appeal to the people that just speak Spanish, and there's people that do bilingual, but
Yeah.
get the message across, because sometimes it gets diluted, you know,
Yeah.
with a bunch of nonsense. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So yeah, I think that. So then you had a song that came out after Conformar.
Conformar,
Which
yeah.
I felt like that. I mean, like I feel like this is like the journey. Like Trabajando was definitely Spanglish, like in between, and then Conformar is like a message about conforming, right, and
Yeah,
identity.
yeah.
What was going on in your own life with that being Mexican American, living in San Jose, and that kind of experience?
Yeah, so Trabajando was the first, right? I was really talking about the farm,
Yeah.
the farm workers, you know, coming from a farm background.
Agricultural
agriculture
culture,
background, yeah.
yeah.
My grandpa and my dad,
Yeah.
you know, seeing myself like that too in the future, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Conformar came, it was just like, not conforming to, like mainstream,
Yeah.
ideologies or concepts or identities, whatever you want to call it, just not conforming. And I was just kind of coming out of this kind of like health thing, and
Yeah.
also figuring out more of my identity. So it's just like, yeah, I'm just tired of just saying different things, and like, you know, it's just like, don't give up. But that's just like mainly the idea of that song. It's like, don't give up, like just search for more, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm telling you to go search for more, like I am. Still going through this, coming out of it, and having deaths, like friends deaths, to addiction, you know. So
Yeah.
that was a little bit of that too. So
Yeah.
like, don't conform, like just keep going, you know. So that was mainly that, and yeah, that was Conformar, you know. And I released one song after another, and in pauses, trying to figure out my sound, you know, trying to like, I was dropping slowly, trying to see what I can get to, you know, my sound, like merge, like find something and to it. Yeah, but that's Conformar.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
really like it too. I mean, I think with that too, like just the positive message, right, of like not giving, like into the materialism and just like whatever culture. Like I just felt like that was like a great. And I was thinking like, as that's released, is like, oh, you know, your personal journey that must be going on with that kind of stuff.
Pretty tough. Yeah. And I got we shot something that in late 2019, early 2020, but then like pandemic hit, so
Yeah.
we're thinking of releasing it hopefully this next year. I shot it with Ronnie. I don't know, you remember Ronnie?
Ronnie, yeah,
Ronnie,
I know that. I know
Ronnie from
Oh yeah.
Lion-
Pan. Ronnie.
I forget his last name right
he was
now.
with Seven Trees.
He was at Seven Trees. Yeah, Seven
yeah.
Trees. Yeah, so he's Lion and Bird now. I think his content agency is called Lion
Yeah,
and Bird.
that's right. He moved to LA, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So we shot something, and fortunately, the pandemic kind of like, you know, killed us all. You know,
Changed
like
it.
literally and figuratively, and
Yeah.
like, damn, like blessings. You know, hopefully for those that,
Yeah.
that are going through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Conformar. And then after that, I think I released Chisme. Chisme. And in Mexican culture, you know, a lot of people love chisme. I love gossip. You know, that's what it stands for, gossip. But there's good gossip and there's bad gossip, and I was mainly like talking about the bad gossip. Like, I'm just so tired, you know. Like, you may heard something from me or from others, or I might hear something from you, and I just don't want to hear it. You know, I'm just so against it. Like, I don't want to hear it, like just leave me out of it. Let me do. That was basically Chisme. Like I'm just tired. But other people were like, started like making TikTok videos and stuff like that on Chisme. It really kind of like took a toll. They really took a light in TikTok and started making fun of videos with Chisme. Like using it like as a good thing, Yeah. So it was cool to see that kind of like going, But the idea of Chisme is just like, like I don't like to be like,
rather than tearing down, let's like build up.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So, or if you have Chisme, just like leave me out of it. Like I'm just, I don't want to be integrated. Yeah. But there's good Chisme and bad Chisme. Like tell me some good Chisme. Like oh, did you know like this is successful and this is like okay, that's cool. Yeah. Versus like oh, did you know that he broke up with him? And, like I don't want to hear that. It's a waste of energy. I think.
Yeah. It's all that like reality TV stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Culture, that kind of culture like seeps
Kardashians.
Yeah, man, that stuff tears us down. Yeah. So then for you, were you? Would you say like even when you were in high school, did you always kind of have this more kind of like sense of calling? I feel like your music is definitely like your style and your vibe is definitely calling people to thinking positive and better, right?
Right.
Would you say like that? Was that come out more of kind of like your illness and the kind of like spiritual kind of thing that you had, or were you always kind of bent that way? You were always kind of a positive. Mm-hmm. I could see you as a little kid running around with a smile,
Yeah. And that, I think it's inbred in me. Yeah. And like, even till now, like, going through a lot of hardships, still try to stay positive. But, I never really, I think I was just like that kid that I was just like shy all the time, but I'll have it in me and I'll just say some things.
Yeah.
And I'll let you just interpret it whatever you like, But just say it, pull back away. But I'm always like naturally try to stay positive. Yeah. Although like I've been met with a lot of negative, and even after like my health stuff, just dealing with like being in the barrio and stuff, being in, around the streets is hard, It's hard to stay positive and you get pulled in different directions. But although just stay positive and always try to push that message, I might not always be like a perfect man, not like a lot of us, most of us do, but I always try to evoke that in my music, and that's my goal, and learn from my mistakes too, know what I mean? So that's mainly what it is,
Yeah. And that's kind of like your song Decisions, right?
Decisions,
It was kind of like that kind of thing, right? Choosing to make better choices.
Yeah, making better choices. Yeah, because I made some bad choices in my life too, when I shouldn't have, and knowing better, knowing too much, but also being ignorant at the same time. Like you can know so much, but we're also like ignorant, and we'll take a wrong path that we were supposed to, but we knew. And you get the consequences, and you're just like, oh, dang, like, okay, now I have to deal with it,
Learn from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you do then kind of like to give you strength and to stay positive? What's kind of like your like personal practices or stuff like that? Or how do you focus that?
I've just been praying a lot, man, especially this last year. I really started learning more about my indigenous practices and ceremonies. So a lot of drumming, singing with the drum is therapy. Like I really started learning about the Aztec culture, which is the Mexica culture, and the practices, and doing sweat lodges. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but so temescales, and it's we sit in it's kind of like a hut made of vines and stuff like that. And we use volcanic rock. It's like a sauna, but a little bit stronger. Yeah,
a little hotter.
Yeah, and whoever guides it, we're in prayer. We sing. Sometimes there's 10 people, sometimes there's 5 people, and we're just in prayer singing, and it gets really intense. But they say it's kind of like you're in the womb. It's like if you were in your mother's womb, and you're just kind of talking to yourself. So I've been doing a lot of that, and a lot of different types of ceremonies, plant medicines and stuff like that. That's my next stage of like evolution, Excuse me. Yeah. But that's been keeping me positive, and just praying a lot, because there's a lot of there could be a lot of negativity out in the world, and um, I guess evil. You know, there, just like there's light practices, there can be evil practices. You know, and like these opposing dualities, light and dark. You know, so try to stay in the light. Just pray to God. You know, pray every morning. You know, get grounded. And meditate. That's cool. Kind of like my practices.
I think I've always loved even seeing you the few times and then seeing you around. Is always that I could just feel your positive and your desire, you know, your friendliness and stuff like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like I struggle because if people downplay like it's a weakness, and I guess in certain situations it can be, but I keep honing into it like it's a strength, you know. You know totally. What I mean? So, because it could, you know, I guess around the wrong people, it could be a weakness because you can get taken advantage. And it's happened to me, you know, so a couple times, and try to build resilience around it, you know, but stay positive, you know, with love and you know, not try to give into that energy, you know.
It takes a lot of strength not to conform. Actually, it takes a lot of strength for humility, right? From the draw of the world, and like especially if in the kind of like the rap scene where everything's like I'm the baddest,
egotistical,
right? Rather than, and then your message is not so much like I'm the baddest. It's more of like, hey, together we are great, right? Which I think is a stronger message, and it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Right. Thank you.
So let's talk. Hey, so then like I met you when you were doing the. You were a part of the BAMN, which is the By Any Media Necessary.
Right,
how did that, talk about that? Because that seemed like that was a great little incubator. I mean,
that was
Simplify
crazy.
was there, Andy Biggs, Marlo, and
Malcolm, Quasi. Just the originators.
How did you even get into that? And cause that was a cool studio over there.
It was crazy, right? So at the time. Yeah, it was like that dude Ronnie, it was Marlo, and it was Quasi. At the time, I was going to Seven Trees and Roosevelt as a youngster. It was like 16, 17. And that was like my training grounds first, you know? Like, there was no other program like that, you know, the digital arts program. And unfortunately, they took it out, you know, this year, you know, and I went back, you know, short story, I went back to work for them. But they canceled the program, you know. But I started there, and we created an album, you know, all kids, you know, and they helped us produce it. And they were our mentors, you know, And, you know, as they grew older, they wanted to do other things. And they're like, let's start a company. And, you know, the vision for that was like, let's incubate these youngsters into this company, coming from the community into the company. That's the whole idea, right? But it kind of took a turn. And like something happened in between, and I don't really know, but they created BAM. It was Quasi and Marlo, BAM and Neba, right? And they brought me along. You know, I was the first youngster, and they're like, "You just come be part of us." You know.
Were you mainly kind of like helping with producing and mixing and stuff like that?
At first, I was just you know, still being a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and
actually, at that time, did you still call yourself Fly?
Yeah, I was still Fly. Yeah,
that's right. I think the first time I met you,
it was just Fly.
Yeah.
You know, just Fly, and I was just like being the fly on the wall and just learning. So they had a gig, you know, like we want to do this professionally. That's before this whole content thing blew up, you know. So we really kind of honed into it. You know, there wasn't really a lot of content like that, how it is right now. You know, this whole content
creation
wave. Content wave is really crazy right now. But they had a first gig with Vernon Davis, which used to play for the 49ers. So they flew me out to Washington. They brought me along, and I just like that lit up my eyes. You know, we filmed a commercial, and I was just like, as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old from the hood, you're just like, what the, you know, like, okay, this is the possibility, you know, and you know, I was appreciative of that. We shot a commercial for Jamba Juice and Vernon Davis. And just learned to edit, you know, I was doing the audio, and Marlo was a great director, and Quasi was just like the other half of everything. And we kind of just, you know, got to know the family. That was our very first gig, and then we came back and we're like, what are we going to do? Okay, we started like forming this company, Neba, and started doing more gigs, more professional gigs, commercials. And then we just started pulling people from different people stages that we knew. You know, a lot of people my age. Quasi knew a lot of different people that he was mentoring. So it was just a bunch of youngsters, you know, getting together and like forming these two companies, which is Neba, which was like a commercial we do commercial, like a creative agency, right?
Yeah.
And then like BAMN, which was like our just like filmmaking talent pool, I guess, content agency. But yeah, that was like the start of that. We started doing more gigs, and we would funnel all that money into like our craft, which is BAMN, doing short films and all that skits, all the funny stuff.
Was that a pretty like?
It was pretty dope.
Yeah, like a really good like formative time then, right? I mean,
it was. At one time, it was like maybe 30 people.
Oh, really? I didn't know
it was like 30 people. So you gotta imagine how to manage all that people. Yeah. But it was really beautiful because we were also like. We're also like in the studying stage still, we're still learning, all of us, they were teaching us, but we're also learning together, like how to do phone calls, cold calls.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Cold emails.
The business stuff.
Yeah, exactly, like strategy. So he really like stood us there and it's like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to practice, you know. All right, we're all gonna try to do a website, just everything. It was just all learning, when it wasn't really common,
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, It was hard. It was hard, the pressure and stressful, but we take a lot from it,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's so important to have like that community of creatives and stuff like that. Is there anything? I think right now, do you have that kind of like connection here in San Jose and stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, after that, like I said, I became part of the company after I learned like my thing. At the time I was going to college, and then like I was majored in like finance. So then I took the role of CFO. So I was doing all that.
Oh, I didn't know
on
that.
top of the creative stuff. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Yeah. So we're playing multiple roles, multiple hats. After that. A beautiful time, right? I took a break from it. There was the whole health thing, so I was kind of forced to it.
Yeah.
And
Malcolm, and then during that time too, Malcolm like broke his back and stuff too, right?
Bro, I mean, that was Malcolm. He broke his vertebrae.
Yeah.
And we didn't know if he was gonna walk at the time, so we were stressful.
Yeah.
Because he was a big part, especially with the overhead, Yeah, we were just praying for him to get better. Yeah, it was everything. It was a lot, I look back now that you mentioned it. Yeah, we struggled, but we survived a lot. But after that, I just took like a year off trying to heal myself, and I went into activism. That was also one of my other callings, just doing a lot of activism with the community, especially in my community.
Were you with an organization doing that?
Yeah, I was. Debug's always been a home base.
Right,
Debug, right? Yeah. So they show a lot of people how to organize. They showed a lot of people how to organize and how to have home bases for them to create and be free. Especially when you start out. So a lot of people started there. Especially from BAMN and Debug, they started at Debug. Then I hooked up with Somos Mayfair.
Yeah, cool.
And we started this group called Jóvenes Activos.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just a bunch of youngsters, just organizing, going to City Hall and doing public comment and all that stuff. Meeting with the council members, and we put a lot of pressure, trying to change different city laws and et cetera. Even going to the state capitol. We did a lot.
Cool,
we marched a lot.
Yeah.
And also, especially during the mural, this whole mural kind of like phase. I don't want to call it phase. This whole mural, like trend or fad. They were taking a lot of murals down that represented the Chicano community. So a lot of us really got together, and it was again a whole new phase of mine. 30 people getting together. Yeah, cool. And we fought for that, It was Morada de la Raza, the first mural that got taken down, and we're just trying to fight to keep art, historical art protective, and try to put some protective layers on businesses and wherever you put these murals, there has to be a layer before you can take it down, and not just have the say-so. So we fought for that, and we succeeded, in putting that layer. We didn't succeed to get that mural back, unfortunately, but I think the artist won the lawsuit, which was beautiful. Yeah. We got to put that layer. With any artist, any muralist puts something up on the walls, there has to be
Yeah,
you know, I had to contact
contracts.
Yeah,
and all that kind of
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
So that was a big time of my life. That was another like 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that was tough. You know, that was another challenge. It was beautiful, but also challenging because, you know, I'm not expecting anything, but it really killed me because financially, you know, I was, you know, you don't really get paid to do activism, you know. So some people do, and they find a way to do that, and you know, power to them. But I wanted to just do it by love and heart, you know, and not really ask for anything and just do it, you know, which most of us did, you know. We just
Is that
did
still going on, the Jovenes?
The Jovenes activism is still going on. It's just a new generation now,
Yeah.
you know. I haven't gone back. But I'm really close to them, and I'll just pop by and say what's up or whatever. But I'm planning to do some more because we revolutionized a lot. You know, I think we show people what it means to really organize. You know, and I think after that you see a lot of people, you know, like the Lowrider Council, like really organizing after that, or cool. Like all these different people organizing, creating committees, you know, and it was beautiful because there wasn't a lot of that, you know. We learned that from like studying Cesar Chavez, you know, organizing, and
it's cool too. Even like the, I mean, like kind of have you talked about the mural kind of like fad, Lowrider fad in some ways, like it's kind of the culture is kind of like become more mainstream and acceptable, which
exactly.
is you know what I mean? Like Montalvo just had like their second annual Lowrider culture event and stuff like that, which is crazy because Montalvo was like rich.
Exactly.
You know, so it's fun to see like the appreciation of the culture, right?
And it's because of them organizing, you know. Totally. I don't think people knew how to organize and how to like really do something, you know. And I think what we did at Jovenes and Somos and Diba is like show people how to what it means to organize, you know. And I think even like, you know, I don't think local color does a lot of organizing, but I think they wanted to be a part of that, so they would reach out to us and how as Jovenes, you know, what can we do to kind of like be part of you, you know?
Work together.
So I think they're doing more of that, which is dope, you know. Like you said, Montalvo, you know, it's a really rich area, but it's also historical because it's native land too. I did a show there too. Shout out Kelly. I know Kelly there. Yeah. So Kelly, big supporter. And we did a show there. We brought like indigenous natives to kind of sing, and then there's bandalooping. They're bandalooping off the trees, and we're singing with the trees. So we were really one with the nature there, with the land.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which was beautiful. Yeah. But
so
like that.
Actually, let's talk about that. Let's just talk about like gigging and performing and the support of a musician here in the South Bay. Like, how has that been experienced for you? I mean, like, because there's not a lot of venues.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it like being a
that's
music
tough.
artist here in the South Bay?
Yeah, so I mean, I was doing a lot of like gigs and stuff like that, and
like where do you mainly gig? Like where's
well, up and down the coast, right? Northern to southern, right? At the time, there wasn't really a lot, and there still isn't too much a lot, but it's kind of becoming a norm to be like a Latino artist, right? So I had to just find gigs, and even people that didn't speak Spanish, I would just do it and just come show my art, you know. For example, that Montalvo gig, like, you know, there wasn't a lot of Spanish speakers, but I was still there. There was a lot of white audiences, you know, white audience. So I was just there, and I was like, okay, I gotta do that. I gotta like show my culture. So even if it wasn't like my audience, I would still find ways to communicate my message or my art. But it's been challenging because like there isn't, like you said, there isn't venues. And there wasn't a community for Latin-based music, you know, especially up here in LA. There's more, but
to show. I mean, that's the thing. I think that there's a lot of maybe like Latin clubs or something like that, but necessarily venues that are going to book like to book like a Latin.
Yeah, it's mainly like club stuff, right? So like it's even more challenging for me because. You know, I could do that, but I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. You know, like so I was just trying to find gigs. Honestly, any outlets, any I guess organizations that were doing things that I could fit in the lane. And not necessarily club, because I've done club stuff, but I would just try to find more open spaces to do things. Different organizations. Excuse me, that were doing a cause or.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That coffee or the boba you said.
Sorry, man.
Excuse me.
I got the oat milk, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm the one finding it. Some people will find me too.
Yeah.
And just getting paid too.
Yeah.
So it was beautiful to kind of get paid from gigs. Because in the beginning you don't get paid, and sometimes I'll do it too. If it's like a really good cause or like. To really, if I have to open up for somebody, like it's beautiful.
For the exposure. And all
exactly.
That kind of stuff. Are you kind of pursuing that still now, or what's your kind of like?
So
what's your business plan? What's your like future? What's your brand?
Yeah, exactly. So that's all part of my identity too. Like, I'm reaching a new identity now, trying to find a new identity, and or evolution, I guess. Not a new identity, evolve myself because. Going through another hardship this time last year has just been tough too. So even within releasing this, I've been going through a lot, and I just try to stay active. But Estilo Chicano is kind of like, honing into my identity. But I'm at the point. I'm at like an evolution stage, trying to find and reach and search for more. Yeah. I was performing a lot, but I didn't have a lot of discography. So I was doing a lot of performing, and I was just releasing stuff here and there. But right now my plan is just keep releasing music. So that's part of my plan, just up to discography. And by next year, set up a tour, up and down the coast and maybe Southwest. Yeah. Maybe in Mexico too. Yeah, cool. So that's the plan. But I'm just working on my discography, just dropping singles. I'm going to drop a project maybe in 2 months. Oh, okay. Called Malentendido, which is misunderstood. Yeah. So that's that. And then I got another project for next year, which is more original. I would say like 50s, 60s is the vibe mixed with like hip hop, and it's like a fusion, Cool. So that's going to be cool. Honing into that Chicano culture again, Yeah. And then... working with something with Ray Resurrection. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Cool, so, right, he's awesome. So that's kind of the plan for me. Like discography is key for me, because I was working backwards, just performing, doing gigs here, little gigs to medium-sized gigs, with the content, with the music that I had and music that I haven't released, but now I'm just like releasing all this stuff finally, It
must be hard. I mean, it must
a lot.
Really,
I guess a lot more,
Yeah, hard because like, at least back in the day, right? You would sell like an album, and then it was like a tape, and then it was a disc. Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, though, like you kind of have to put your music out there, but then everybody can listen to it for free. Right, exactly. So even like the monetization, like I'm always baffled. I guess it's gigging that would monetize, I guess, a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah. So definitely, and it's also like, you have a good reputation, so you're able to negotiate what you want to get paid, so that's also good too, like, knowing your self-worth, but like negotiating, just like, knowing what to ask for as well, but the monetization of like music is just really blown out, so you have to find new ways to do that. And I think for me it's just releasing, and then I have a plan for like monetization, which is more like, you want to support me. There's merch and stuff like that, which is classic, and I want to, I'm in the works of that too. Yeah. But there's other ways that I've been looking at to monetize, music, and taking like inspiration from other independent artists that are doing things like that, using different websites and different platforms for that, because it is hard, and there's a lot of content going out every day. A lot of noise. So exactly. So trying to fit through that noise and really just be myself though. And just as long as you be yourself, you really stick out. And really, you don't really have to worry about anything. Just be authentic and just do your thing. Like that's what I look at. Not be not perceive an image. Just stay to who you are.
If you were then to say like. Say a statement of who you are. How would you define yourself?
Damn, that's crazy.
You've done it.
Yeah, for sure. Statement. like what I represent or who I am. Or,
Yeah. How would you describe yourself? You say I am.
Yeah, it's hard. I guess it's hard because I see myself in a lot of different things, you know. I am. I'm just. I'm a light seeker, always looking for truth, you know. I guess you know through storytelling. Yeah. You know, whether they're bad stories or good stories or like negative stories, like, you know, there's always like at the end there's always kind of like a message, you know. I'll do what some of these people are doing, tell these stories that are like whatever, guns, violence, but then there's always like a lesson at the end, you know, just kind of like a short story or something, you know. There's always like a plot, and then there's always like a lesson at the end.
Almost like a parable or like
something like that. So I really take all the other film stuff that I've done. I kind of incorporate that into the music, you know. Yeah. And yeah, so all the music I'm making, I'm definitely, you know, going back to monetizing. I'm heading towards the sync licensing too. Okay. You know, so creating more original music, instrumentation. Yeah, cool. And getting the band together too. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I don't want to tell too much, but
no, that's okay. But so that's the thing too. Is like you're for most of your releases and your music and stuff like that. Are you doing all the instrumentations and the sampling pretty much yourself and right the vocals and all that kind of stuff? It's not like you're not really bringing on live music, but you play a little.
I play keys and a little bit of bass, you know. Yeah. So I'm a digital producer, so I'll do what I've learned to do. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I'll work with other producers. Maybe they'll give me the beat and I'll add my touch. You know, like I'll just Dr. Dre over it or something. Yeah. You know, that's you cool. know. Yeah. But I'm working more with you know, like people that really hone into the crafts, and we're really working on something cool. Awesome. You know, mixed with traditional Mexican music, you know, so I'm trying to fuse a lot of Mexican music and really explore my voice, you know, a little bit more, not just rap, but try to explore more and, you know, what's the next sound for Miguel Kultura, you know, taking on from inspirations from like Mexican musicians, you know, old school Mexican musicians, you know, bolero style maybe, or like romantic songs.
Yeah, I can't remember which, a couple of your songs. They kind of started out. A couple of them. I can't remember now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
They started out a little bit more, almost kind of like ballad love songish.
Yeah.
Like just in the very beginning, but then they kind of changed and stuff like that. And I was thinking like, it would be kind of cool to see you do like a real like straightforward romantic love style.
Yeah, something like that. I'm trying something like that.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
because rapping is easy, man. Like I've just you know, so
maybe for you.
Yeah. You know, so like I guess I'm trying to just explore, you know, cause
different styles.
Yeah,
different
or even
genres.
if it's like sonically, like the sounds are from certain eras. Like if you rap over it, then it's just something new too. You know, right now in the Mexican community, really what's big right now is cumbia. So cumbia hip hop is fire too. So. I'm trying some of that out too, but doing my twist. But I'm heading towards like a little bit of oldies, you know.
Okay, all right. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. So then, are you a reader? Are you reading anything right now that's kind of like?
Man, I'm reading. Yeah, I'll take breaks from it, but right now I'm reading. I like to read more like self-improvement books and stuff like that, like wisdom. Yeah, something like that. Something like the 4 Agreements, something like that. You know, I don't know if you've heard of the 4 Agreements by what's his name? I don't know if it's Jose or Manuel Ruiz, something like that. I forget. Forgive me if the author is wrong. And just different like spirituality books, I guess. Yeah, trying to just always find knowledge. You know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What would be one spiritual self-improvement thought that you've read or you've come across that you would want to communicate to others?
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. There is like one statement
or something. Yeah, it could be a generalization. You know what I mean? I don't want to over.
No, yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, and this. Like I already read this, but I kind of go back all the time, like just the laws of Hermeticism. You know, I'm not sure if you know of Hermes. You know,
okay,
yeah. But there's like these universal laws, like cause and effect. You know, I'm not sure if people are into that, but for me, I always read these universal laws, quote unquote, you know, that are kind of just abided to the universe.
Yeah.
I guess one is like, you know, especially with the hard lessons that I've learned, is like the law of cause and effect, you know, which is really, really simple to understand. You know, there's a cause and there's an effect, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
So always be careful of your choices and what you ask for, because there's always an effect, if it's a negative or positive.
Yeah.
You know? So there's a consequence or there's a blessing. So, you know, that's the effect. So I want to just leave y'all with that. You know.
Yeah. That's cool. Good. Awesome. You know? Good. Okay. So where can we find you? Tell the camera where we could find all your music, merch,
for sure. At Miguel Kultura with the K on all social media platforms. www.miguelkultura.com. Working on some new merch, new Estilo Chicano merch, and trying to create some new style, you know. But at Miguel Kultura. Yeah.
And then you have another release coming out.
I have another release coming out at the end of October, and then the project in late November. I'm just going full blown on consistency of content, you know.
Yeah. So then when you say when you say project, is that like multiple songs?
It's multiple
like
songs.
An album, like an LP or EP or something?
Yeah, more like I'm just gonna call it a tape, you know, because it's not really like an album EP. So I'm dropping that and like dropping 2 tapes before like an actual full EP and an album. So. There's a lot.
Are you gonna do a vinyl press or anything like that?
I think for the album, for an album, maybe I'll do a vinyl press and stuff like that. So for sure. Yeah. But right now I'm just calling it a project tape, you know, and just releasing. Yeah. You know, releasing it, you know, and letting people know who I am more consistently. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Any shows coming up? Any gigs you got going on set up?
Right now, no. I'm just honing it. Excuse me. I'm just honing into
in the studio.
And like building off of telling stories in the content way. You know, I'm also working on like some like short skit film-esque vibes, you know, part of the music. So, you know, from my background, I want to really incorporate the film, you know, and tell stories, the Chicano experience or the indigenous experience, you know. So, that's what I'm working on a lot, you know, with the new team.
Cool. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, good. Thanks for coming out today. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
it was good to see you, and hopefully I'll see you more around town.
No, appreciate the invite, and I appreciate always, you know, being a supporter, you know, and being an ally.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, bless. Yeah.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Become a member and help us to continue to tell the stories of the South Bay creatives. This episode's music is 408 by Jack Pavlina. Follow him on Spotify and also on his Instagram at Jack Pavlina Music.